So step 5 is all about gaining access to their emotion. Step 5 is actually a parallel to step 3, which belongs in stage 1, right? They both try to check in with the emotion, right? But step 5 is definitely the deeper ones. Things that more likely you have already sort of even mentioned in stage 1, step 3, but now you're going a little bit deeper. So a lot of times, not that we're discovering new emotion to work with. Sometimes there may be, but a lot of times it's just deepening things that they already talked about. And I think we mentioned this before that in earlier workshops that naming a feeling is not the same as feeling a feeling, right? People can name the fear. Yes, I'm afraid, but they would say it in a very cognitive kind of way, not in a fear kind of way, right? They could look like they're actually shaking a bit. They would talk about a body response, right? So oftentimes in step 5, we would do a lot of more body response kind of work. We notice the nonverbal actually a lot more. So we're trying to gain access to the primary emotions, such as like sadness, loneliness, fear, not being valued, not loved. Those are very typical pursuer ones, right? And I already emphasized it a lot today, the view of self and the view of others are quite important, right? In step 5, right? That's true for withdrawers and pursuers, right? But the example I'm giving here is more for pursuers, right? That the view of self is about not feeling lovable, not feeling worthy. You saw that in Grace, and you saw that in Shelley. It's pretty common, right? And the view of other is that that person is not going to be there for me. I mean, Shelley sort of said that, right? Bill's not going to do that, right? That's how her view of Bill is, right? And for Grace, her view is that I'm just going to be alone. I'm this little girl. No one's going to be there. And she says, I don't really ask for much. I just need someone to be there for me, right? So the attachment needs around that is typically, again, not the only one, but one example of that would be, I need to feel loved, right? They actually need to feel it, that you are here for me, for that little girl, that I don't want to feel alone, right? So that's the attachment needs that typically would happen, right? The 3 Ds that we talked about a lot in EFT, the deepening, right? The distill, the disclose, the deepening the emotion, which are to help people to be more in touch with that emotion. We want them to go from the cognitive to the deeper aspect. So let me quickly show you the next slide just to highlight it. I don't know how many of you came across this yet. We have this thing called the experiencing scale, right? In terms of the level of emotional experience in EFT. This is a simpler version of it, okay? So imagine in your head is the first floor. And we need to, and this building only go down to the basement, okay? So level 1 to 3 is more in your head. It's more detached, impersonal, abstract. It's just talking about the feeling, not really feeling it. Is when you start to get to level 4, that's when you have when they take the elevator down, that's when they start to be able to touch the edge of that emotional experience. So in stage 2, we want to help people to stay at least in level 4 and 5 and 6 and and so on, right? The higher, like when the feelings become, the emotion becomes much more concrete, alive, it's actually present in the room, for example, right? So we're always working with the emotion that are more present in the room. And the old saying in EFT is that emotion happening right here and now is always fresher than the emotion happening last week. What happened to them last week, right? Because what happened last week is stale, right? The emotion is stale. Here, when they talk about it right now, how do you feel it? Do you feel it as you talk about this now? Right? Where do you feel it in your body? Oh, okay, you feel this tightness in your chest. Can you tell me more about that? Right? So we're going after the present emotions, right? So that's what they, I think, from a sense of level in the stage 2 kind of work, we're trying to aim for at least a level 4, and definitely want to work our way down to level 5, 6, and 7, right? Which is some of the work that you probably have seen,